Good evening, everybody. Just want to say thank you for coming tonight. We really appreciate you braving the elements to come out tonight and check this out. We are still waiting for Ryan to show up. He is our speaker. I've got a couple things to say, but we've also got Marnie, who is an expert. She was the Volunteer of the Year with Kent Conservation District, so I know that we'll figure this out. We will not cancel the event if Ryan is late tonight. But Kent Conservation District has been doing work for about 3 years now in Cannon Township, cleaning along the trail and also behind the township building. There's a few acres behind here that they've been working on the bittersweet and garlic mustard. They've been helping us at different events. And then Lori, who is here tonight, she helped organize this tonight with Ryan to get him in to have another presentation on invasive species, bittersweet, and a little bit of other just wildlife habitats throughout Western Michigan and our backyards. And then a few things, I'll just pass around an event sign-in sheet if you're interested in just getting some emails from us, other events that we've got going on throughout the rest of the year. May 2, Jess, is that correct? May 2, we have a garlic mustard pull. That'll be at Balk Park just down the road. And then, when's the other speaking event? I don't have it written down. May 20th, we'll have an event here as well at 6:30 in the boardroom for that. So lots of fun things coming up. Appreciate you guys coming. I will start with these here. Perfect. Get one to their side here. Go to their side. Perfect. Thank you. So
Ryan comes, we know you're gonna get a better show than this. So I just taught second grade for 30 years, so you're gonna have I don't mean to talk down to you, but that's how I work.
he's calling me right now. One second here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, conservation has a strike team of these young. Oh, I have to use the microphone? Oh my gosh. My husband would be like, "What? They gave you a microphone? You do not need a microphone." I was born with a microphone. So the Kent Conservation Strike Team is a group of young, they love their job. I mean, I don't know who would want to go out into the woods every single day, winter, spring, summer, fall. They are just, Barney, they're always just so happy. They're just like the best group of positive energy to hang out with. And so when you get to work with them on a bittersweet day where you lop the bittersweet, and then you have to lop it up here so the babies don't grow and attach to the mother. We just dab a little bit of herbicide just right into that root, and then you yell, "Suck it and die." It's very gratifying. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, just knowing that you're doing it in a safe way for yourself and for the environment, so you're not just spraying glyphosate, which is, you can inhale it, you can spray all these other goodies that are supposed to be there, and taking care of just those invasive species on the spot. Suck it and die. It's great. So as we have this beautiful area that we live in, Cannon Township, you can go down the bike path and just see the bittersweet, which probably got here from grandmothers 40 years ago that picked one up at the farmer's market and thought, "Oh, it's vines, it's berries," chucked it into the woods, but it is incredibly invasive. The birds eat it, they poop out their seeds. We've got bittersweet everywhere, and it strangles all of our native species so that only it can survive. And garlic mustard is another one. It's allelopathic. It sends this toxicity into the soil that kills all of the native species that are plants and other plants and animals, pollinators, bees, butterflies, hummingbirds. They all depend on those other plants, but only garlic mustard can grow. And the average seeds that it puts out, 4,000 per plant. And they blow up to a mile. And I've seen them in the back of landscape trucks, and they're driving down Cannonsburg Road, and I'm like, "No, it's raining garlic mustard seeds everywhere." So getting a handle on it is going to be great over at Balk Park. I know there's a couple of areas, and last year we worked back in this little woods back here. But do you want me to go through and tell Ryan, and then I'll just tag team Ryan?
It's a little more than 10 minutes away, so if you want to.
Okay, do you want to go through this? All right, let's do it. Yeah, so here we are. We're going to do what we can. Yeah, Kent Conservation, they were so sweet. Yeah, they gave me Volunteer of the Year. And I mean, honestly, I love working with these kids. I suck the energy out of them. It makes me feel young, even though I'm twice their age. So, yeah, they are taking on all of these different areas. They have a tree sale on April 18, native trees only. And so on April 18, you can actually go to their website and not all of the proceeds, but most of the proceeds will go directly to the strike team. So Ryan's not going to come in here and tell you that, tooting his own horn, but those tree sales and those native plant sales, the native plant sales in May, but getting those trees an early start in the spring is what they want. They're used to the snow melt and getting that extra spring showers. And then, yeah, the plant sale, and that also goes toward the strike team and the efforts that they do all around Kent County. And I mean, these kids, they don't get paid beans. It's so sad, but they work around the clock, weekends, everything. They do it. So they're incredible. Anyways, let's go to the next little clicker. Oh yeah, there's their little plant sale that they do. So yeah, they invasive treatment. So they have to get monetary donations. Actually, I met them putting in a native plant garden at my school with my students. That was our big project. But then I was walking through this Canonsburg State Game Area, and they had all these trees, red flag, the DNR did. So I went to Jesse at Kent Conservation and Ryan. I said, hey, listen, I'm a little scared what's going to happen with all the bittersweet that's in there when they take those trees out. We're going to be left with a big mess. So we have been working since 2018 on eliminating the invasive species in the Canonsburg State Game Area. So all of these funds, we wrote grants, we got money for that, but that is what they do. They will come to your house if you have a big, like, overwhelming amount of work to be done. And like I said, they treat it safely. I had to get my herbicide applicator's license, which was harder than getting my teacher's license. I don't know. It was like this huge exam. But they are all qualified to do it in a safe way. So they also have workshops and presentations. They do different activities all the time. If there's anything you ever want to get involved in, they are your people. So this is Ryan and David. You can see he's holding a great big log that's twisted with bittersweet around it. So they come to different events. I think they had one last spring. It was at if you ate at Brewery Vivant, they would give some proceeds toward their events, and then they did a great workshop there as well. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, whew, yeah, 800 acres restored and then some. Public lands, landowners, the right-of-ways that we have, they work with schools, church, like my school, it was so cool. Yeah, and then neighbor associations, neighborhoods, and then outreach events 36. And of course, these are the areas where they do most of their work. Let's see, Cannon Township, as Cy told you, it's everywhere around here. Cascade, they've been working on Peace Park, if you've ever walked there, and Burton Park and Peace Park. They've been treating bittersweet there for probably 10, 15 years. All of the Kent County parks, it's like they cannot be spread, and it's only a small group of kids, so it's like they get spread so thin. They're doing all kinds of stuff at Ada. They're trying to do this introducing native species. I know they're doing that at the Roselle Park. And so there's like little signs that say, hey, but you can see when they've been there because they'll see drooping bittersweet. I'm like, oh, my strike team's been here. And then, of course, the city of Grand Rapids. All right, so that's like their things. Let's see, West Michigan Cooperative. The 3 strike teams cover our 7-county West Michigan Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area. So it's SISMA. Kent, Ottawa, Muskegon, and I'm telling you, we got the best kids here. They are amazing. But it is a huge area for small concentrations of people just working at it every day, smiling. They're the happiest bunch you ever did meet. All right, let's see what else we got. I mean, Ryan can probably talk more about this. All right, so like I think it said earlier that they respond to requests from landowners, park managers, public work employees, and then yeah, you can just scan this and then they've got a form, or you can just go to Kent Conservation District, um, and they are on Eagle Park West. So you want to make sure you're at the right site. I remember putting it in and it's like, you're going downtown. I'm like, no, 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 I'm going to the one. And it's like the Leonard and the Beltline. So that Eagle Parkway right in there. Um, and they have a huge list, but get on it early because here's the thing. People don't know that they have garlic mustard until it's blooming and then they have, so it's this tall and it's blooming like crazy and then everybody wants them. So if you can get them in early or if you have bittersweet, get on their list now so that when they start to make their stuff, you're not the last man standing and you don't get treatment this year. So that's great if you can do that or just go to their website, Kent Conservation District. They're amazing. All right, let's see. Oh, my nemesis. That is garlic mustard, and it is a lot of it. So the state defines an invasive species as one that is not native and whose introduction causes harm or is likely to cause harm to Michigan's economy, the environment, and even human health. You know that this is getting into our water. And I don't know about you. I like garlic pesto, but I don't want garlic water. And it is so easy. One plant can spread. So this was, I believe this was at Almond Park where they have all those trillium. And year after year, the Virginia bluebells and the trillium come up. And I mean, I remember walking there going, oh my gosh, one garlic mustard plant. And I always have my dog poop bag with me. So I'm like throwing garlic mustard in there. And then I went through a series of health issues and I hadn't been there. And then I saw this and I just started crying. I'm like, no, not Almond Park. So, like I said, one plant, 4,000 seeds. So then 4,000 plants. So the multiplication is like way beyond my brain because I only taught second grade. So it is incredible how fast that this can take over. And like I said, it creates this toxicity in the soil, so only it can survive, as you can see. And you will see it first in the spring. It's all about the garlic mustard. It'll come up first, this lush, green, beautiful. You see it by people's mailboxes, and I'm just like, no. So it shadows out. Did you ever read The Tiny Seed by Eric Carle, where the big weed takes over and then the tiny seed dies because the weed took all the nutrients? That's exactly what this does. So that's what an invasive species is. Same with the bittersweet, the Dame's rocket, which people think, oh, it's so beautiful. It's magenta, it's pink, it's white, it's cream, it's beautiful. But it is also in the garlic mustard family, so it produces those same, I call them devil horns. They get these seed pods that come up. And you'll see them all along the roadways too. So just getting a little handle on that. This is really bad. This is a bad case of bittersweet. This is probably taken in Ada. It's a lot like the kudzu vine of the South. I don't know if you've heard of that, but the bittersweet here is soon to be the kudzu of the South coming our way. And it's so unfortunate because it just climbs up these beautiful big oaks. And oaks are home to, they provide food for over 40,000 species of plants, animals, pollinators, moths. Oh God, remember the gypsy moth? It was horrible. Anyways, that bittersweet can take down a 350-year-old oak tree. I've seen it at Ski Hill. This last 3 years, they've lost 3 massive oaks to the bittersweet. It sucks all the nutrients out of the soil. So, I mean, even if they have deep roots, there's no fighting this. It's taking over their foliage. So there's absolutely no way that the plant can make food for itself if it's covered with bittersweet vines making food for itself. All right, another one. All right, so what is the difference between a weed and an invasive plant species? So yeah, we get our dandelions, but you know, people don't like them, but they're great little pollinators for and you can eat their their leaves. Oh, you can eat the garlic mustard as well, but you'd have to eat a lot of it to make a dent. So the non-native, the invasive plants are exotic. They're not native to this area. They can easily take over. Where the weeds, yeah, I mean, you treat for your dandelions and they're done. But they provide food, and this provides nothing. Even the deer don't like it. Like you can see where they'll take a bite out of one, and then it's like they spit it out. There's a dead piece over there. So I think that kind of defines itself. All right. Native, non-native, invasive. So yeah, native adapted to a specific region and is currently in its natural range. So common milkweed, and there's like 11 different types of milkweed that are native to this area, which is fascinating. I have learned so much from these kids. It's incredible. So yeah, when I revamped we have 11 acres, and all of it is, I would say 95.2% native, but my grandmother loved peonies and my mom loves purple iris, so I do have to grow those, but they don't at least spread. So anyways, these common milkweed is a wonderful example that, I don't know if the Pennsylvania sedge, it's like this flowy grass, or let's see, the butterfly milkweed, the bright orange, they're beautiful. They're beautiful, beautiful. So then we've got our non-native. They're from a different region, but doesn't spread freely or cause harm, like my peonies and iris, which I'm going to cut and put in bouquets anyways. Another example is your decorative Japanese maple. You just don't see those like growing all along in our woods, everywhere. They're just pretty much contained to your home or your yard. The invasive is it's from a different region, and it just spreads, which negatively, obviously, impacts wildlife habitat, our pollinators, our birds, all of our little living creatures. Spotted knapweed. Okay, so if you've ever been on a walk and you see this little purple pincushion, puffy thing, and your legs start itching, yeah, that's spotted knapweed. And you try to pull it, and you only get the plant, and the root stays in and spreads another one later. That's spotted knapweed. We have another big killer, which is the Japanese. It looks like a bamboo, but it just takes right over. Why can't I think of it? I don't know. It's not the season for it. That's why. But yeah, spotted knapweed, the bittersweet, the garlic mustard, Dame's rocket. Japanese knotweed. Yeah, that's it. It looks like bamboo, and it gets like this tuffly thing, but it is actually from the volcanic region of Japan. And people brought it here because it would make a big thicket between one person's yard and another. What they didn't know is the roots in that thing, even just MDOT mowing, the roots can spread under the asphalt and go to your side of the street. So Japanese knotweed is another one. And there's David and Ryan. Here, like, I got to toot your horn. I'm like, these guys are amazing. They work around the clock, 7 days a week, 24/7, and they always smile. See, they're even smiling right now. So, oh my gosh. So, I don't really need a microphone. They're like, oh my God, why would they give her a microphone? She's so loud. All right, so the next one, and we'll just tag team to Ryan and David are two of my favorites. They're on that strike team. I don't know where Sammy is tonight. She gets a night off with her dog, I guess.
Yeah, we had a full day in the field today.
Oh, you did? I bet. So I just did this little thing, and then I think we're going to the next one. But welcome.
Great.
Here, I'm going to pass the torch. And you got to see them in the slide earlier. David was on the left. Ryan was on the right, holding his bitters.
You covered the conservation district,
Hi.
and hi.
Hi, how are you? Oh, good to see you. Yes, thanks for
Yeah, well, we can just keep rocking forward, I guess. Sorry, there was a schedule mishap on my part. Just too many moving parts. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know this stuff.
I do
Awesome. Well, I'll just do a quick introduction, then we'll keep it going. So my name is Ryan Wilemski. I coordinate the invasive program at the Conservation District for Kent County. I've got David here. He's our outreach specialist, so you'll see him at all of our volunteer events, and he helps with all of our outreach efforts with our many great partners that we work with as well. So yeah, we'll just keep rolling. Early detection. Early detection with invasive species is extremely important. So when you're dealing with invasive plants, they spread fast, right? That's one of the main reasons. I'm gonna stand over here, actually. That's one of the main reasons we don't want them in the landscape, right? So the sooner you can detect them and manage the infestation, the better. As time goes on and those infestations spread geographically, it takes a lot more time and resources to manage them. So we want to catch them as early as possible. So you can kind of see this invasion curve that we show in every presentation. You know, usually with these newer early detection species, they are right here. They're right here and we're aware of them. But some of these other species that are considered out of containment, they're starting to make a rise, right? And these are also just as damaging to the environment. They're just more widespread. So we're really trying to boost awareness of specific invasives that we'll talk about. David will actually talk about later in this presentation before they get to the stage of local control and management only, really high control costs, and a bunch of time that nobody really has, right? So that's the goal there. Invasive plants, they have a variety of impacts, of course, to the ecosystem, to the biodiversity of our natural communities. They also impact recreational activities. They can impact our infrastructure, which you'll come to see in a few slides here, and they also negatively impact our property values. So I've got a statistic here, and it's kind of old, but collectively, our country spends $21 billion a year controlling invasive plants. They outcompete our crops, they're clogging our waterways, impacting fishing and hunting, and certain plants that, again, we'll talk about impact our roadway visibility as well, so they pose a safety issue.
That's the Japanese knot. We got to talk about broken lava and asphalt. Tell them about that.
Awesome. Sounds like you got ahead of us. Yeah. So, something that we like to say, a concept we like to share with these presentations is not all greens created equal. Some of these plants are much more aggressive. They don't play nicely in the landscape, and they will just take over. And not only impact the landscape, but they also have negative impacts to human health, to our economy, and our wildlife. So just a few of those plants are pictured here, and I just wanted to include this to show we actually work under a state grant. It's the Michigan Invasive Species Grant Program, a DNR program, to address these early infestations of early detection species. So at the top there, I have black swallowwort that used to be in this program. It is no longer funded through the MIHP program, but we still do manage it and spread awareness of it. Japanese stiltgrass is in the middle there, and we only have a handful of infestations that we're aware of in Ada, really close to Seidman Park and the Honey Creek. So we really want to keep it out of that area. It's a non-native grass, invasive grass, that will just completely take over the floodplains and push out all of our beautiful ephemeral wildflowers and impact the ecosystem. And then below that, we have cinnamon vine, formerly Chinese yam, and we have a handful of sites of those that we manage more in the downtown area of Grand Rapids, but we were keeping an eye out for those as well. With these early detection species, if you come across them or any invasives that you want to to report, there's a way to do that. It's through the Midwest Invasive Species Information Network. This is a website, and they also have a really great app. So it's the Missin app, available on Apple, Android, and all that. And you can just keep going forward here. So there's a way you can catalog these infestations and report them to a state-managed database. And if it's a watch list species, an early detection one that we're really concerned about, us at the Conservation District, we will get an email from that database manager, basically letting us know, hey, this has been detected in your service area. We need you to go go assess it, verify it is what it is, and let's work to manage it together. Missin is also a really great app to learn invasive plant ID. So there's any invasive that you can think of on there. Everyone that's been reported is on that database, and there's really great resources. There's actually modules you can take, like little trainings, and there's a quiz at the end, like a 10-question quiz, so you can really know your stuff when it comes to invasive plants. And yeah, on this slide, there's even a way to view the data to see which plants have been reported where and at what densities. So with that, I'll turn it over to David, and we'll talk about some of these really highly aggressive invading plants.
All right. You can go to the next slide. All right, like Marnie said, let's talk about Japanese knotweed. So yeah, for this one, right off the get, it's introduced from East Asia, Japan. It has these bright white flowers on it. It kind of has that like pointy spade-looking leaf structure. It has also been referred to as like a Michigan bamboo because it kind of has that hollow bamboo stem on it. It can grow up to 10 plus feet tall. It likes to grow in most habitats along like wetlands, roadsides, ditches. Outcompetes the natives, and then the main thing with this is it likes to spread through the rhizome. The roots will kind of spread, and it will kind of outcompete these natives. It also can spread by being fragmented, and if you try to mow it or cut it and then move that pile, it can grow through the different the stems. So it is most important to use herbicide when treating this. When you try to dig it up, its roots can go 60 feet underground. So that is a very bad way of trying to manage this invasive species. It actually kind of aggravates it and kind of increases it to grow. So don't burn it, dig it up, cut it, because it causes it to spread and it causes it to grow more intensely. So like I said, it can outcompete native plants, can impact infrastructure and agriculture. So it has, the environmental and kind of the economy impacts that it causes. So kind of looking at this, you can see it at an early stage, the growth, it kind of has that like reddish tint to it. And then you can kind of see here, that's actually Japanese knotweed growing through concrete. So we've come to sites where it's been growing through barns, concrete, seen personally, and that can be a major problem when it comes to roadsides and kind of destroying infrastructure. So, and then up here you can kind of see how there's a man in there, and then you can kind of really get a visual of how tall it is and how dense that that area is. So like if there's any natives or whatever, it just kind of smothers them and outcompetes everything. So. Slide. Another one that we cover is Phragmites. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry about that.
There's Sammy.
Yeah, so this is our coworker. This is her in a Phragmites patch. Yeah, so this one can actually form very dense, pickets of Phragmites. It can grow over 12 feet tall. It likes to grow in wetlands, ditches, rivers, sides, ponds, along the bank or whatever, like along the bank sides. It has that large seed head on it that you can see there. That's the seeds that it produces and spreads. And like I said, it forms those dense monoculture areas and kind of outcompetes the natives and kind of takes over the shorelines. So it can be hard for like property owners to get access to the water, as well as like wildlife using these important areas along the ponds and rivers and such. So here's kind of the difference between invasive Phragmites from a native. You can see the natives there to the right are a little smaller in size, where the invasives are taller. They have a bigger seed head on them. They tend to be a little like darker color, as in like purplish brown, where the natives are kind of lighter. And then,
When in doubt, listen.
yes,
M-I-S-I-N.
yes.
When in doubt.
So you can go ahead and next slide. So this is actually a picture of Roselle Park, which we've been actually managing for over 5+ years. This is actually a picture of the Phragmites that was there. If you go to this park now, some of these invasive Phragmites patches are very small now. Like, we've actually managed this park very well, where they no longer look like that. So, but that's kind of a visual of how big and how dense they can be. For this slide, I just wanted to mention how we do partner with the Road Commission, Kent County Road Commission, as well as different conservation districts. You can see here is kind of a picture of Grand Rapids, and you can kind of see some of the areas that we've managed some of these invasives, Japanese knotweed and Phragmites. We have 89 right-of-ways that we've covered along like the roadsides. The major thing with the Road Commission is they tend to mow and kind of take care of these roadsides. So a lot of times what they're doing is they're actually spreading some of these invasives. So we've actually done work with the Road Commission to identify these intense, invasive species, and then they notify us, and they've contracted us to come out to these sites. And so this is kind of different areas that we've done throughout Kent County, as well as 7 graveyard pits where they store a lot of their gravel and stuff like that, which tend to be sometimes full of invasives. And so by taking gravel and stuff like that, they tend to like spread it. So we've identified the different invasives that are there, and effectively are trying to manage and control these invasive species.
Yeah, a quick note on the Road Commission. So we've been doing annual trainings with them, like David said, to ID Japanese knotweed. They have been so supportive of what we do. They definitely contract our work every year and look to do what they can to make sure they're not contributing to the problem. And I just want to say, I think we're really fortunate to have a Road Commission that cares to not spread invasive plants in our right-of-ways.
Yeah, it's definitely comes down to our the partners that we collectively work with, and forming those relationships, because we obviously don't have enough resources and time and effort and people to do this. So, but I digress. So anyways, Japanese barberry, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with this one. It tends to be a common invasive ornamental plant that a lot of nurseries have, you can currently get at your nurseries. The problem with this one is it has these red berries, and a lot of wildlife, such as like turkeys and stuff like that, will eat these, and then they'll spread them they'll escape into our forests and natural areas, or a lot of times they will grow in wetland areas and along rivers, and they can spread through the waterway that way. So you can see here it has kind of that roundish shape leaf. It has like pointy prickers on it, it gets starts green in the summer and turns kind of to a darker brownish color. And then if you see in this photo here, it kind of forms these like bushy shrub looking, clusters. Yeah, and it will kind of take over areas, out competing the natives. The problem with this one is it actually is a perfect habitat for the white-footed mouse, which is actually the carrier of Lyme disease. And they've actually done studies based on the association with barberry and the increasing of Lyme disease. So with the ticks, yeah. So the ticks will actually get the Lyme disease from the mouse, and then it will transfer to the human. So they're actually doing studies on that right now. And then we've actually done a lot of work with Seedman Park down in their kind of wetland area where we've are managing barberry. So another one that we focus on is glossy buckthorn as well as common buckthorn. You can see down here in the corner, to the left is common buckthorn. It kind of has that dark bark on it. And then in the middle is a native plant, which is black cherry. And then to the right is that glossy buckthorn. You can kind of see that glossy buckthorn and black cherry look very similar. You can see they both have those like lenticels on it, darker color, but the main difference is if you look at their leaf structure as well as their buds, the buds on them, they kind of have these brownish colored buds, and then they have like these deer looking like hooves where they like kind of form like kind of like a deer hoof. And then I like to point out too, they have kind of spikes on them. So like the buckthorn is very kind of a indicator, as well as the black fruit that grows on them, the black berries. That's the way it spreads its seeds. So the major problem with this is it can form major thick areas within wetlands, and then they can be toxic to a lot of salamanders and frogs, and they kind of have like deformed effects on their eggs. So the main thing with this is you want to use herbicide, and you can either do cut stump, woody cut stump, where you effectively do like a cut an inch or two above the ground with a saw or with a lopper, and then you want to make sure you're using the herbicide on that cambium layer, and so you would just daub on the outside of it. And so
And then you yell, suck it and die.
yes, because if you just cut it, a lot of these,
Yeah, I told you about the
yeah.
suck it and die. But it's
So-
great, 'cause you're not spraying a whole area. That's
Yes.
got some good stuff in it. So you it's just that one little application.
Yeah, so it's,
With herbicide.
yes, and we'll go over that more. I just wanted to touch base that if you're cutting it and not using herbicide, it will grow back. So you want to make sure. Yeah, they'll sucker. Yeah, they'll pop up a bunch of shoots. So in this photo, you can kind of see to the right there that's the cut stump method. So we actually cut it an inch or two above the ground, and then within 5 minutes daubed it. And so that you'll see that's kind of how it will take. In these other two pictures here, you can kind of see that's us cutting all that buckthorn down, and then you can kind of see previous mature vines, the mature trees or shrubs. They produce the berries. They'll have berries in the seed bank, and so by us cutting it down, you're actually opening up the sun, resources. So the next generation of seeds will shoot the next year. So we start with making sure you go after the berry producing mature ones, and then next year we'd come back and we would effectively do a backpack spray and try to get like the new growth of the other
Babies.
the babies. Yes. So
So as you go along, will you tell us when you have to clear the brush away and burn it for each of these species?
So what we do at Kent Conservation District, we go in and we'll do cut stump and take it down, but we actually don't remove So that's more of like something if we're working with a private landowner or, at a park or something, we'll either just let it decompose at the property. We do make like brush piles though that, can be good for like wild habitat for like funnies and stuff like that. Yeah. So,
Depending on the site, ideally you want to manage it before it has berries, before it
Yes.
produces berries. If there's already berries, honestly, cutting it off at the source is better than nothing. And leaving those berries, they will germinate. There's already berries in the soil as well. Those seeds, don't dig them out because you'll just disturb the soil profile and create more of an issue. Just kind of, it's a long-term process. You kind of have to trust. But as much as possible, you can also dispose of the berries in the landfill. We're allowed to do that in Michigan.
Yeah. Most importantly, throw it in the trash and instead of, throwing it back in your yard. All right, on the black swallowwort. So we kind of touched on this one a little bit earlier. You can see here in the photo, it gets these like 5 there's 5 pointed flowers on them. They're very tiny. They look kind of like a star, and they're like kind of a brownish purple color. And then the photo down here to the right, kind of going back to that biological pollutants, you can see that it's nothing but monoculture of the black swallowwort, where it's literally just taking over the trees as well as outcompeting all the natives in that picture. So here's kind of a close-up. You can see it has that opposite leaf. So they're right next to each other, opposite, and then you can also see the seed pods on them are very similar to the milkweed. So if you go to the next slide. So yeah, the major impact here with this invasive is it looks very similar to common milkweed, and it has similar seed pods. And then these seed pods are actually wind dispersed. So a lot of times they might be, on a site, and then obviously they, spread, and it's be hard to kind of manage or deal with that if we're on one private landowner and they spread to another. Can be difficult to manage, as well as using herbicide on these on like the higher dense areas. We tend to use like a backpack sprayer in the foliage, and the leaves on them tend to be kind of a waxier. It doesn't stick or absorb very well on these waxy leaves. So, is it okay? But yeah, and then also kind of touching on it looking very similar to the common milkweed. The monarch butterflies tend to lay their eggs on these, and once that larva hatches, it can't find any nutrients from these leaves. So, yeah, so there's actually been a decline in monarch populations. Yeah, so actually this year, not only did we find, I found there was a black swallowwort literally on top of a common milkweed, but our crew actually found a monarch chrysalis on one of the black swallowwort. So it was kind of interesting to kind of see that. So.
You see?
We
That's
did.
what you gotta tell them, the free
Yeah,
land.
sorry. Yeah,
Saved, and they-
we did take it back, and we did save it, and we actually managed to go to Butterfly and released it. So yeah, it was kind of a cool thing. Here you can kind of see throughout the U.S. you can kind of see kind of going back to that early detection, rapid response. You can kind of see that it started off in the east side of the country, and then those areas are highly infested, and they've kind of taken over, and it's slowly spreading. There's small pockets out in California, but if you look at Michigan particularly, it's mainly in that southern hemisphere of Michigan, and then there's little pockets in like the UP as well as like North Michigan. But it's so important to get it at that early stage now and try to effectively control or manage this invasive particularly. So a lot of what we do is we try to empower, educate and get the information out so you guys know and are aware of these invasives. Here you can kind of see, this is kind of like the high populated areas of black swallowwort. Down here in Grand Rapids, kind of Kent, you can kind of see there's like the urban areas, they're starting to kind of make a presence. And then if you look over here in Lowell and then up in Rockford, you can kind of see that there's these pretty high populated areas of black swallowwort.
That's what we know of. I'm sure there's more. And with this slide, what we're kind of saying, we don't have funding for this anymore. We are happy to help manage it. But if you find it, this is like the minimum we're asking you to do. So if there's seed pods present, pick them off, throw them in the trash. Because since they're wind dispersed, when they open in the late fall, they can just spread so far, so quickly. And it really does a lot to at least keep those seeds from spreading. And then, the next step would be to dig out the root crown of the plant itself. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so definitely like the best management is to dig it up manually. And then when you do dig it up, there is that root crown that you want to make sure you get completely out. It will kind of have the roots on it. And then definitely dispose of all seed pods before they open up, like Ryan said. And then kind of going to what I was saying earlier with using herbicide, if there are like very big, large populations, this is typically when we would go in and manually. It can be very difficult. And this plant it is a vine. It likes to grow underneath other vegetation and on top of things, so it can be hard to spot every single one. So
it does not look like a regular common milkweed.
you can see the difference, yeah. So one's a vine, one's more of a plant. If you have
That little purple stars where the milkweed gets that big pom pom that smells like heaven. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the milk inside like a milkweed. So if you're unsure, I would also say that black swallowwort has like a waxier, darker color compared to the milkweed that doesn't really have that waxy as much.
And bigger leaves.
Yeah.
Milkweed.
Yep, milkweed has bigger. So this is kind of one of our like bread and butter, you might say, invasive bittersweet vine. This one, you can kind of see here, it's wrapped around a tree. It likes to grow only counterclockwise. So you'll see it will actually wrap around the tree. It has these red berries that it produces its seeds in. Each berry has multiple seeds in it. The problem with this is it likes to grow up our trees and smother them, where it actually tightens so much that it restricts that flow of energy, the sap, in the tree. And eventually, over time, it grips it so tight that it will actually kill the tree, bring it down. And then what that does is it opens up that canopy. And then all the berries, it just kind of like monoculture, yeah, it just takes over. So, and it can grow on top of other plants and smother them as well with resources, sun. And so this one is kind of a big one for us, trying to save our canopy, our forests, that is like a coral reef of the ocean, without our trees, there goes all the biodiversity and plants and different wildlife. And the wildlife depend on these. So this is a major impact on West Michigan and overall. You can go next slide. I don't know if we have time for this, but we do have handouts where I can give you guys about bittersweet. Particularly, there's on the back, there's this QR code. You guys can scan that with your phone too if you want. And it's just like a 5-minute video on the impacts of bittersweet. It kind of touches on if you want to do it, if you have this on your own property, it tells you how to do the cut stump. It talks about the poodle cut, which I'm going to mention. It talks about who we are as kind of conservation district, and if you're like, have a big infestation at your house, you can hire us to come out, and it just kind of goes on that. So it's a very cool video.
Hi, how are we doing on time, by the way?
How much time do you guys think you need?
Like 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Yeah, I take over from here. Cool. So talking about the impacts of invasive bittersweet vine to the Grand River, I should rename this. This is kind of a new presentation, so there's a couple little hiccups, but invasive bittersweet vine, there is a native bittersweet vine. I have found a handful of occurrences of it. However, for the most part, it has been natural or hybridized with the invasive variety. So that's just something to be aware of, but it is out there and it's very cool when you do find it. Mostly bittersweet in our area though. So to the left, you can kind of see all of the public lands that we've been working on, managing invasive bittersweet vine with all of our lovely partners, Kent County Parks, Cannon Township, Ada Township, and Cascade. And the reason we're focusing in this area, this is where bittersweet is. This is like ground zero. For whatever reason, it's just so prevalent here. And I have my ideas of why, but we don't need to get into that. So invasive bittersweet vine, it is straight up destroying our riparian forests. It's contributing to stream bank erosion. As it constricts the trees and squeezes the cambium tissue, they essentially can't breathe. They can't transport nutrients from their roots to their crown. Similarly, there's probably a good picture to show it, but the foliage will suffocate the trees themselves by covering them in a thick apron of their leaves. So it also prevents photosynthesis in that way as well. And then all of these impacts, they kind of manifest as impacting our forest ability to retain floodwaters, filter excess nutrients and sediments out of our rainwater, and like I said, increases bank erosion and sedimentation. So we just wanted to highlight the difference between invasive bittersweet ID compared to native poison ivy and native grapevine. I gave a talk recently, and some individuals were surprised to learn that grapevine is in fact native to Michigan. And if it's not impacting the landscape, I suggest to leave it. It is a great food source for birds, especially in the winter, and same with poison ivy. Of course, manage it where needed, but anyways, so invasive bittersweet vine, you can see it has the lighter tan color there with the dark lenticels, that bottom left picture, where it's actually wrapped around a grapevine. And then with the leaf, it's it's round with a tapered tip, like a teardrop. When it's smaller, it can be more round, and as it grows larger, that taper is more pronounced. And then poison ivy, you can kind of see the difference there. It has those fine hairs, and the leaves of 3, leave me be, hairy rope, don't be a dope. I mean, we've all heard iterations of that. And then grapevine, it has this dark brown shaggy bark with a much different looking leaf. So we can move forward. Really just want to highlight, this is our #1 plant we probably spend the most time managing in Kent County. I'm sure Marnie talked about our service area and the West Michigan SISMA earlier. Just to piggyback off of that, every region of the state has different priorities of invasive plants that they manage. For Kent County, I rate this at the top. It's such a threat to our forests, but it is a winnable battle. We found that it absorbs our herbicide treatments really well. It has a short period of persistence, such as the seeds only persist in the soil for around 2 years, whereas some can remain dormant for a decade or more. So that's great. But we just also want to highlight that mechanical cutting alone of bittersweet will not manage the problem. And it typically makes things worse. Well, landowners don't love to hear that when I'm on site with them. They're like, I've been cutting it for years, but it just keeps coming back, and I swear it's getting worse. It's because it is. Yeah, every time you cut it, you're essentially stressing it out where it's at, and it's sending signals to the roots, hey, I'm receiving stress in this location. I need to grow over here or over there, and that's how it spreads. Similarly, when you're pulling it, it often will fragment. The root system will fragment underground, and every one of those fragments has the ability to grow another plant. So it's kind of like the hydra. You cut one head off and two grow back. That's bittersweet vine for you. I know of instances where goats are employed to manage it. We don't really subscribe to this because they don't get to the root of the issue. All of the energy of this plant is in its roots. There are some plants you can just cut and that's enough and the roots will die off on their own. Bittersweet is not one of these plants. It's a super weed. And firing goats are just giving it a haircut. It's not getting to the root of the problem. And then when you're doing any kind of invasive control, we just like to highlight, don't run into the worst of it and get overwhelmed and then throw your tools down and stomp away. Try to start in the lower density areas, your higher quality areas where you have, maybe native plants present or really nice trees. We like to focus on freeing up our trees in the winter because we can do this treatment in the winter. And then we'll move out from there. We can slowly chip away at it and quarantine the worst of the infestation over time. So this is how we manage for invasive bittersweet vine. Number one, you want to confirm you're dealing with invasive bittersweet vine. I'm saying invasive bittersweet. This could be any woody plant. For the most part, I always have to do a caveat. There are some plants you do not want to do cut stump for. Tree of Heaven being one of them. I'm not going to get into that, but for most of these woody invasives, this is how you manage them. Make sure you know what you're dealing with. Cut it right at the ground, like David said, within 1 to 2 inches, flat against the ground. We don't want to be creating spikes to trip over. And then you want to apply your concentrated herbicide immediately. That herbicide could be a triclopyr product, which is a broadleaf selective. It works really well in the winter if it's an oil-based. So I know that's a lot of words. There's a really easy thing that's just pre-mixed and ready to go at Tractor Supply. It's called Stump Stop. It's like $20 a bottle. Highly recommend it. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Jessica Gregory did such a good job. Triclopyr is one product. Glyphosate is the other. Glyphosate is usually most effective in late summer and fall when the plant is pulling all of its nutrients down to the roots to go dormant for winter. I've noticed less efficacy in the winter, but if it's what you have, use it. It's better than nothing, right? And it'll still work. And then after you do your cutting, if there are any berries present on the vine, I would advise to trash them. Bag them up and throw them in the landfill. Something else you can do is put them in a black plastic bag and tie it closed. Just leave it out in the sun for a week or two to dry up and then throw it out. So you're completely, you're not allowing those berries to persist further. And then this is a longer term management plan dealing with invasive plants. So just anticipate this will be a multi-year process. The first year, doing the mature vine cutting, you're basically turning the tap off. So it'll stop producing berries, but all the berries that are already in the soil, all those seeds, they will germinate next spring. And those will need to be managed moving forward as well. And I don't think I have a slide for it, but that's when you would basically employ foliar application of liquid herbicide in like a backpack sprayer. But talking about cut stump here, this is the equipment that you'd want to use. So you got your chemical resistant nitrile gloves, or even thicker. You know, they got the really thick ones that are reusable. Those are great too. Some loppers or hand pruners, depending on the diameter of the vine. You could use a handsaw, a folding handsaw. We have those. Or if you have power equipment, go for it. Why not? Just be safe. We use brush cutters, not so much for bittersweet vine. You can, but brush cutters are great for other invasive shrubs like glossy buckthorn we discussed earlier, autumn olive, the whole gamut. And then make sure you have your herbicide. There's a picture of Stump Stop that I was talking about. That's what it looks like. And then buckthorn blasters. You want to grab one of those kits over there? So we did bring a handful of kits. Limited supply, but we do have a few here if anyone's interested.
We will be selling these at our native plant sale as well, so, or you can get them online. So that's, yeah.
Or you could just email us and we'll arrange something.
Bingo dauber in a sense, so.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we'll move forward. So when dealing with invasive bittersweet vine, you know, it's wrapping around the tree. The first thing you want to do is cut it right at your chest level and cut it again at the ground. After you do that, you'll remove the biomass in between those two cuts. So you have an area where there's no vines, and then, you know, from your chest up, just leave those vines hanging. I wouldn't recommend pulling them down. Bittersweet, it's constricting the trees. It's you know, damaging the trees. They're not as strong because of it. You don't know what it's wrapped around. It could be wrapped around a limb that's ready to come down. So we never advise pulling on the vines themselves. Just leave it be. You know, sometimes landowners are telling me, well, I don't want to leave the dead vines. You can always hire a tree company to come through and you know, prune them too. But we don't do that. It's a safety issue for us. So we'll leave that gap, and we do that for two reasons. One, it's a visual representation of the area you've already completed. If you just cut at the ground and that's all you do, you have to walk up to every single tree and wiggle it around or kick it to make sure that it's been cut, right? So with this, you can actually see a large, you know, forested area. Okay, I've done all this area. I still have to go and complete this area. And then the second reason we do it is it prevents any future bittersweet vines from using that hanging material as a trellis or a ladder back up the tree.
Did you want to touch on why it's called poodle cut? Kind of interesting.
Oh, it's like how you trim a poodle?
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
the head and the tail, kind of that poodle,
Yeah.
everything's cut in between.
Yep. So going back to prioritizing low density areas and slowly working towards the highest density. That's what this graphic is showing. Get your outliers, your satellite populations, your spot fires, put those out, and then you know, go towards the worst of it. And I think that's how fires are actually fought as well. They attack the spot fires first, extinguish those, and then slowly quarantine the worst of it. There's so much to cover talking about the treatment of invasive plants, but here's some really great resources if you want to dig a little further. MDARD has some great ones. Our SISMA website has links to a lot of really great resources. Woody Invasives of the Great Lakes Collaborative, or WIGGLE, I really like that one. So much good information. And then the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, they have worked with the Michigan Natural Features Inventory to create some really great handouts, kind of highlighting the most popular, most prominent, prevalent invasive plants, how to ID, how to manage, when to manage. Yeah, so those are all really great as well. Just something to reiterate when you're dealing with invasives, never compost plant parts, even if that twig or something isn't necessarily going to root. I just think it's a good idea. It's a good practice to always toss invasive plant biomass into the trash, especially dealing with knotweed, as we spoke about earlier. And then when using herbicides, always follow the label and wear PPE. The label on the herbicide is an extension of law. It's an extension of the law. So we just like to remind folks of that as well. All right, and after you manage your invasive plant problem, I say after, when you get it to a management state where the density has decreased, say, from 50% to 10% land density, I think first of all, wait to see what comes up, what's been suppressed in the soil layer from these invasives. It's kind of amazing to see what comes back, especially at our project at Cannonsburg. Yeah, seeing how many, yeah.
The butterfly milkweed and this plant that we're just like, what on earth? Where have we ever seen a horrid cocoon? You never see those. I mean, they're so rare. And there was like 4 one year, and then there were 6, and then we got rid of. It was just like, whoa!
Yeah.
It's really special.
It's great to watch the good plants that you want spread, not the bad ones. So yeah, that's kind of what you can look forward to as you remove these inhibitors to the system. Our native species will be able to germinate and to come back. So that's what I would look for. If that site doesn't have, a really great seed bed of those native plants, it's our job to put them there, right? Let's restore the landscape to its native natural community.
The best thing is you don't even have to like take care of them. Like my husband he has a little lawn. I gotta give him that. But like my native plant gardens, it's just like, meh. They're fine. They were meant to be here, and I don't have to spray them with stuff to keep bugs away. I don't have to do a darn thing. I barely even water them, and they are loving life. And then it's like, you can divide them, give them to friends, and let them start growing. But all of the plants I started with were from Kent Conservation District, and they're all thriving. They just only had the best growers you can possibly get because they're all certified to grow Michigan native plants. Like you can't go out in the woods and dig up a trillium or you'll go to jail. So you can get them from Vern or any of the other growers that they have in their sales. And like I said earlier, they are not going to toot their own horn, but they do so much work, and all of that monetary from the sales goes to their efforts. So it's it's fun. It's fun to do those things, those sales.
Yeah,
April 18th,
for sure.
trees.
Marty, I should have got some pictures of your native plant garden in here. That would have been
do?
pretty.
No,
I should have. I should have.
I was gonna say, yeah, I grew that cardinal flower. Yeah, I could send you some of those.
Awesome. Yeah, Marnie already touched. So native plants, they require less maintenance. They're more resistant to natural pests because they're adapted for this this ecosystem. They tolerate a wider range of soil conditions. They send really deep roots that stabilize our stream banks and mitigate erosion. And of course, they attract a wildlife, native wildlife that we love to see. So there's a really great graphic of how deep those roots can go. And then some riparian buffers. Planting native plants along bodies of water is such a great practice, a great conservation practice, because it allows the plants not only to hold that stream bank together, that shoreline, it slows down the overland flow of precipitation events. It retains our floodwaters. It filters excess nutrients and sediments. It allows for cleaner water, healthier aquatic ecosystems. It allows for habitat for our native insects, which are food for our birds. I mean, it really just spirals out. Native plants, I think, you build it and they will come, is what I've seen.
Everyone's like, oh, a bunch of weeds. I don't want native plants. But no, they're beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and you can structure native plant gardens so you have different plants blooming at every portion of the year, early spring all the way into late fall. So it's a lot of fun. This is probably in the wrong spot, but I just want to highlight, we've been working with Cannon Township under their support, managing invasive bittersweet vine along a really high quality wetland off of Sunfish Lake there, along the Iron Bell Trail. So you can see, that's where we are right now, Cannon Township Center on the left of that image. And we've been working all the way down that trail to the edge of the wetland, managing bittersweet vine and trying to work with adjacent landowners as well to increase awareness and comprehensively manage the problem. One thing, and Marnie might have touched on it earlier before I was here, but I think a strength of our program is that we can work on public and private lands, so we can kind of jump that fence. And it allows us to really comprehensively address these issues, focusing on our highest priority, most biodiverse natural areas that are public, our parks, our preserves, and also working with the adjacent landowners to provide that education piece and also prevent the invasives from moving on over those private boundaries, which plants don't respect. Yeah, and then just talking about native plants, so we have 2 sales this spring and every year. May 30th is the pickup date for our native plant sale, and then we do have our native tree sale as well. That is April 18th. And then we will have all of our growers. I think we have 7 vendors this year. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I love Blue Sky Aster. Yep, and we'll have anything you can imagine. It's all on our website. We're accepting orders until May 1st, and yeah.
You can come the day of the sale, and then they've got an explosion of so many more. It's just like, you'll only see a little touch on the order forms, but then there's so much more at the sale.
Yeah. Something we're trying out.
Browse and buy.
Yeah, browse and buy. Something we're trying out for the first time this year too is an early bird ticket. So we open at 10 to the public, but if you want to come at 9 and get first pick of the plants, you can buy a ticket and come a little early. So that's, yeah.
That's way better than Disney World.
Yep. So come on out. And then here's some upcoming volunteer opportunities we have coming down here. So actually tomorrow and all weekend we'll be tabling at the West Michigan Home and Garden Show at the DeVos Place in Grand Rapids. David will be there tomorrow and Friday.
And we'll be right next to Kent County Parks. So.
Yeah. Yep, talking about all the great restoration work we do for the county. So come on by. We'll be leading, well, actually David will be leading a work day with Friends of Buck Creek at Lemery Park. What are you managing? Bittersweet vine?
Buckthorn, bittersweet,
Yeah.
a little bit of both.
So 2 of the ones that we covered today, right off of the Buck Creek. And then the one I'm excited for, so my project is up at the Rogue River State Game Area. We're doing a habitat restoration with the DNR, and we have a work day on March 14th. We're managing autumn olive along the Rogue River floodplain. It will be working right off the North Country Trail, and it'll be a fun event. We'll actually have a videographer there. She's making a video for our SISMA, hoping to put that on our website. So yeah, put that on your calendar. And then another David event.
And then close to my home, but yeah, Harmony Brewery is having us come out to do a presentation on bittersweet vine specifically, just kind of touching base on the impacts and kind of stuff that we covered today. So if you have that or want to learn more, feel free to come out, have a drink with us, and feel free to stay after and talk. So
Yeah. And then I just threw this in here because I like talking about the project. This is actually where we're going to be doing the work. So this is the North Country Trail right here. Well, that's the 2-track. It's kind of like right here. And we're going to be working all throughout this area, managing autumn olive at the Rogue River State Game Area. Yeah, and I'm just so excited about this project. This is we're a little over halfway with this grant project. It's ending this fall, and it's been really gratifying to see everything come together. We actually just worked with somebody who was flying a drone out over our project areas. So we're excited to see that footage and do something with it in the future here. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to highlight how important our natural rivers are, you know, kind of piggybacking off of managing bittersweet. It's just so important to maintain the ecological integrity of our river systems and our tributaries, because they create all these little microhabitats that just allows our native biodiversity to thrive, and, you know, prevent erosion and all that stuff that I've already talked about. And just a quick plug, we do offer this work. I provide land management consultation on site for no cost. We'll go to your site, kind of identify what plants you have, highlight, you know, the native plants that are present on the property, highlight, you know, troublesome invasive plants that you should maybe think about managing, come up with a plan. And then, you know, if you would want to move forward, we do a quote all at no cost for that work as well. And then do the invasive control year round. I know our team was working on some landowner sites just today. And you can hire us to do plantings as well if you want to utilize our conservation district for native plants. We do those plantings. And of course, you can follow us on all the social medias, reach out to us, stay connected with all the programs we have going on. Yeah. We honestly could not do this work without you. We're such a small team. It's 1 full-time and 5 part-time individuals. And, you know, the volunteer efforts and the partnerships that we're able to engage to do this restoration work really makes it all possible. And it's just the most gratifying part of the job, honestly, working with the community. So thank you so much for having us, Cannon Township, and thank you for coming out.
If there are questions, can you just grab the microphone? Because this is live streamed, and the only way it picks up the audio for the live stream is if you're holding the microphone.
That would have been good. Sorry.
No. The questions is
Sure.
yeah, perfect for that.
Do you want me to run the microphone over for the questions too? Great.
I can help move it around. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Hainish. I have a property on Cannonsburg Road right by the ski area. These guys have been by and helped me. My husband and I have been fighting garlic mustard and autumn olive for going into our 3rd summer now. And they've really been wonderfully helpful. But I guess you've said a couple things now that have piqued my curiosity. One is how to report when you find invasive species. Your MISIN site sounds like the place to go. But my question leads to where you can and can't go to help remediate an infestation. I'm surrounded on 3 sides of my property by properties that are now owned by Cannonsburg Ski Area, part of which is nature preserve. There's a lot of autumn olive. My husband and I have been working very heavily in the back this past year to take autumn olive out, and we've got a lot of work yet to do. But it's all going to be undone if something doesn't happen there also. It sounds like you may be already working with the good folks at Cannonsburg, and hopefully it will come to that. What can be done if we know of an infestation that's going to recontaminate our property, to get with the property owner and get you guys involved?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So that kind of makes me think of all the great stewards, park stewards that Kent County Parks has. They're volunteers, and they have permission from the landowner, Kent County Parks, to do that stewardship work, to do the invasive control. So that's one avenue, and we could help connect you with that. I believe that is a township parcel, the ski area, right? No? Oh. Okay. I'd have to look. Okay. Yeah. I'd have to look. But yeah, I'd be happy to reach out to them and just say, hey, we are working with a landowner, and their property abuts yours. They're concerned about, this issue. Can we also address this on your property as well? Because plants don't obey property boundaries, right? Yeah.
I don't mean to hog the mic, but this is my only other question. I know we see a lot of purple loosestrife at the nurseries, and I know in some of the home stores and craft stores, we see bittersweet wreaths and other pretty decorations. Are we making any progress getting legislation in place to stop this?
That's the $1 million question, right? Conservation districts being a local unit of government, our hands are kind of tied when it comes to that. But there has been effort at the I say SISMA, it's the West Michigan Conservation Network level. Yeah, it's a tough industry to try to manage. It's a big boost to the economy in West Michigan. So that's why we're doing everything we can to spread awareness. We table at the Michigan Nurseries and Landscape Association every year, where landscapers and nurseries come from all throughout the Midwest. They come to DeVos Place again, and we kind of share the same issues. There's these plants that you sell and you profit off of, and they are impacting our native landscapes. In a lot of the states, some of those plants are already banned. Calorie pear, yeah. So something I'd love to highlight right now, to your question, there's a proposal to ban 5 invasive plants. Right now, MDART is looking to do this. It's, let's see if I remember all of them. Calorie pear, glossy buckthorn, Japanese barberry. What were the other ones? Common buckthorn, water lettuce. Yeah, the aquarium one, the fish tank. Yep. Yeah, water lettuce. And then the 5th one's evading me right now. But there is a push. It's really great to see. They just took a public comment period in Lansing. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, happy to share.
Yeah, also another like kind of thing that people do is adopt a park, kind of going off of working with like Kent County parks, or a lot of steward work is done through someone taking the effort and kind of getting like a home park that's either close to their house, or and they'll kind of take that on, their responsibility to kind of go out there and sometimes even lead like a group, if not kind of stuff. What I do with volunteer days is a huge effort to kind of control these invasives at our parks. So yeah, any other questions?
Thank you. I came tonight because I wanted to find out about who do I contact to deal with an invasive tree in our neighborhood, which would be a black locust tree, these have also spread. Pardon me? Pardon me? Well, and they're starting to spread. We live in Rosewood Villas off of 10 Mile. And the plant is also spreading through our trail, but we have a 75 to 100-foot tree right in our residential area. And it's starting to, drop its seeds and everything in the lawn and the shrubs and start killing off the shrubs. It's very prickly. So I'm wondering, who do I contact to have something like that dealt with?
They can do it.
Really?
Yeah, strike team.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if you could or not, because it's a tree.
Yeah,
And-
we girdle it, or, well, they girdle it, they get the chainsaw, and they can just, if it's a big tree, and then they can just inject that.
Yeah, it's twice as big as one of the houses,
Oh, yeah.
and it's right next to our creek.
It's making babies.
It's getting all over. And,
You trim it,
mhm,
it's clonal, so it'll send out 52 others.
oh, yeah.
All directions.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, I have to go through our homeowners association to have this taken care of. And, I looked into it to have it removed, and, have our homeowners cut it down, but it was too expensive, so I can go through you guys to check it out?
I'd be happy to take a look at it.
Yeah,
The hazard element would have to be addressed, but
yes,
it's something we've done before.
Oh, okay.
A lot of chemical girdling
right,
in forest areas. Yeah, to Marnie's point, I would not recommend cutting it down because it's similar to Tree of Heaven where it's clonal and it will just push up all its energy in the form of suckers from like 100 feet, 100-foot radius
Yes.
around.
well, if we couldn't cut it down, how would it be dealt with? This tree is, this tree,
Yep, so as Marnie mentioned, we would come, or arborists would come with a chainsaw, or you could also do drill and fill, where you drill into it and inject it to the side. Essentially, with chainsaw, you're girdling into the cambium tissue through the bark. You're going to do 2 connecting rings around the tree, and then you just inject that
yes,
to the side.
yes, right. Okay, thank you, because it's really important because it's right by our man-made creek, and it's, we have it treated, the creek is treated with, for the, what do you call those? The, the growth in and then the water and everything, and it can start spreading into that. So, but I'll have to work with the homeowners association to have you guys approved. Okay, so, thank you.
Thank you.
It's outside of its native range. I think it's native a little south of there. Yeah. And it really can take over. At the Canonsburg State Game Area Restoration Site we keep referencing, we took out probably like 2 acres.
Yeah.
Around that.
Acres.
To
Yes.
expand an existing remnant oak savanna prairie.
And that's where we're seeing those wildflowers coming up,
Yeah, so it's
instead of
been
those
great to see.
prickly black locusts.
Yeah, yeah, so we've been doing a lot of work with it there, but still managing it.
I
every
know,
year.
just when you think it's gone,
The
oh
little
no,
seedlings
here's
will
his
pop
Uncle
back
Eddie,
up.
right, coming up. Oh, yes, good luck.
Hi, my name's Mark Rector. I've got a question about what I am learning is native but highly invasive and toxic pokeweed. We've got it spreading from a farmer's field, and it's now showing up in our granddaughter's garden. Treating it, yes, managing it, treating it. I treated some this fall with crossbow the same way I was trying to get rid of autumn olive. I have no idea because this is the first season I've done it. But bagged it up, bagged the berries up as much as I could, cut stumped every 100 of these little suckers that were in the yard, and expect probably have to do multiple years of this. But the question is, how do we approach the neighbor's farm field? It's on the border of their farm field, so they don't care. They're not plowing it, it's growing along the ditches.
Yeah, pokeweed. It is native. It's also annoying. It can grow really, really dense, and it's toxic. Yeah, yeah. There's several parts of the plant that's toxic. great food source for wildlife that can stomach it, like birds and things. But yeah, you applying, so crossbow is a triclopure, broadleaf selective. That would be a great way to go about it. That should be effective if it's being applied within the label. So I'd say keep that up. I don't know how long the berries persist in the soil off the top of my head because we don't manage that one since it is native. We really only focus on these highly aggressive invasive plants with, due to capacity issues. But best of luck. It sounds like you know what you're doing.
As much as Google can help me.
Yeah.
And other state websites, EDUs.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it does love disturbance, so it makes sense that it's on the edge of a farm field and making its way through. It kind of capitalizes on that disturbed soil profile. So, great. Any other questions?
Sometimes accidentally pull my neighbor's garlic mustard. I accidentally just.
She's coming for it,
No.
Great. All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we thank you for all the work you guys do in Cannon Township as well, just to keep this beautiful. We're very proud of what you guys have done. So thank you for everything, and we appreciate it. So thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. Thanks, Marty, too, for your help. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I love it. Like I said, these guys are the best. They really are.
So thank you all for coming. If you're interested in getting involved, please let me know. I'll be happy to plug you into the committee or volunteer days, or just keep an eye on Facebook, listen to the board meetings, put as much as I can in the communicator as well. But thank you all for coming, and hope you enjoyed it tonight. Hope you learned something. Have a good night. Thank you.